The Zorthan Empire stretched across 1,000 light-years of space. Its banners flew over hundreds of worlds, and its laws reached even the farthest moons. For centuries, no one dared to challenge its rule. The Emperor and his council believed that their fleets were the strongest force in the galaxy. Grand meeting halls on the capital planet Zorthas were filled with tall, shining pillars and smooth metal floors. This was where the Imperial Council gathered to discuss matters of war, trade, and conquest. On this day, the hall was unusually quiet. A new planet had been added to their list of potential conquests, a small blue world in the outer spiral arm of the galaxy, Earth, Red Councilor Reith, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. A planet with air, water, and life, not part of any known alliance. Their space activity is limited to a single small station in orbit. No colonies, no fleets, primitive by all measures. The other counselors nodded. To them, such a world was no challenge. The Empire's fleets could arrive, demand surrender, and take control within a day. But there was a reason the Council considered every target carefully. Conquering a planet meant resources, territory, and prestige, but it also meant risk. Even a small world could be dangerous if underestimated. Grand Admiral Vorik stood at the far end of the table. He was tall, with silver markings along his temples, a sign of many years in service. His armor was polished, and his eyes held the calm confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. "My Emperor," Vorik said, bowing slightly, "if you command it, I will lead the fleet to this Earth. From the reports, it will be a simple operation. We will secure their leaders, disable their small defense systems, and bring the planet into the Empire before the next cycle." The Emperor leaned back in his throne. His face was unreadable, but his voice was slow and deliberate. "You are certain, Vorik? This world has no allies to come to its aid." Vorik nodded. "None. They are isolated. Their technology is limited to their own planet and nearby orbit. They have not mastered faster-than-light travel. They do not know the full map of the galaxy. They are unprepared for an arrival from the stars." A faint smile appeared on the Emperor's face. "Then it will be you who adds another jewel to our crown. Take the Imperial Armada and bring me this Earth." The counselors struck their staffs on the floor in approval. The decision was made. Far from Zorthas, on the quiet blue world in question, life continued as normal. In a small laboratory near the coast, scientist Mia worked late into the night. Her desk was covered in papers, screens, and a half-empty cup of tea. She had been tracking unusual energy readings from deep space for the past week. At first, she thought they were just natural cosmic signals, radio waves from pulsars or distant suns. But these readings were different. They had a pattern, almost like a rhythm. They were growing stronger each day, coming from a single point far beyond the moon. Mia adjusted her instruments, trying to make sense of it. The signal was too precise to be natural. She wondered if another country on Earth had launched something new, maybe a deep space probe. But no agency had announced anything. She tapped her pen against the desk. A thought crossed her mind: what if it was not from Earth at all? She laughed at herself for even thinking it. The idea of aliens was something for books and movies, not real life. Still, she kept recording the data. She believed in being thorough. Back on Zorthas, preparations for the conquest were in full motion. The Imperial Armada was a sight to behold. Hundreds of sleek, black warships floated in the great orbital docks above the capital. Each one was armed with enough firepower to level cities. Their armor could withstand the weapons of most known species. Their engines could cross light years in a matter of days. Vorik walked along the command bridge of his flagship, the Iron Talon. The bridge crew worked in quiet efficiency, checking navigation routes and ensuring weapons systems were at full strength. "Status report," Vorik ordered. "Admiral, all ships report ready," replied his first officer. "Terran, fuel stores are full. Weapons are charged. Crew are at combat stations. We await only your signal to depart." Vorik allowed himself a small smile, then signaled the fleet. "We leave within the hour." The message spread through the Armada, and engines began to glow with power. The great ships turned in formation, aligning for the jump to faster-than-light travel. On Earth, The night sky looked the same as always. Stars twinkled faintly, and the moon cast a pale glow over the land. Mia stepped outside her lab for some fresh air. She looked up, wondering where those signals were coming from. She had no way of knowing that. At that very moment, the Zorthan Armada had already made its first jump and was crossing the cold void of interstellar space toward her world. Inside the Emperor's private chamber, Counselor Reith entered with a final report. Sire, Admiral Vork's fleet is underway. Estimated time to arrival, 12 standard cycles. The Emperor nodded slowly. Good. Let this conquest remind the galaxy of our strength. A single world, taken without resistance, will send the right message. Reith hesitated before speaking again. There are old records, sire, mentions of this Earth in forgotten archives. Some call it a world of stubborn beings, but those are old tales, likely exaggerated. The Emperor waved a hand dismissively. Tales for children. This is a small planet on the edge of nowhere. Vork will take it easily. But far away, under the quiet stars of Earth, the first tiny signs of a coming storm were already stirring. The darkness of space was calm and endless, but the calm broke when the Zorthan Armada arrived. Hundreds of warships came out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Their engines left faint blue trails as they slowed, and spread out around the small blue planet below. From his position on the command bridge of the Iron Talon, Grand Admiral Vork stood with his hands behind his back. The world of Earth was turning slowly beneath him. White clouds swirled over blue oceans and green continents. It looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. Vork studied the planet for a long moment before speaking. Target world confirmed. No orbital defenses detected. Begin planetary scan. His first officer, Terran, pressed several controls. A soft hum filled the bridge as scanners swept the planet from pole to pole. Within seconds, data streams filled the holographic display. Admiral, Terran reported. Their satellites are primitive. They have a small station in orbit only for research and communication. No weapons detected in space, ground-based. Military is scattered and uncoordinated. They have no shield network. Vork smiled faintly. Then this will be as easy as we expected. Down on Earth, the first signs of the visitors appeared. It began in observatories. Astronomers in several countries spotted strange shapes moving across the sky. They were not meteors. They were not space debris. The shapes moved too smoothly, too deliberately. At first, no one wanted to believe the data. But soon, more telescopes confirmed it. These were not human-made objects. The news did not reach the public right away. Governments moved quickly, holding urgent meetings. Military satellites were redirected to focus on the objects. Messages passed between leaders in hurried, encrypted channels. In one coastal city, Mia was still in her lab when she received a secure call. Mia, said the voice. On the other end, this is the National Space Research Command. Your readings from last week, can you confirm they were tracking the same objects now over our planet? Mia's heart raced. Yes, I've been watching their signal strength increase for days. It's not natural. It's deliberate. You need to come to the capital immediately, the voice said. We have a situation. High above the planet, Vork prepared his first move. He wanted to send a message not just to the humans, but to anyone in the galaxy who might be watching. Open communications channel to the planet. He ordered. Within moments, a wide-range broadcast signal was sent to every major communication network on Earth. Television screens flickered. Radio channels crackled. Computer monitors lit up with a sudden interruption. A tall alien figure appeared on the screen. His armor dark and polished. His voice was calm, but carried the weight of authority. I am Grand Admiral Vork of the Zorthan Empire, he said. People of Earth, you are now under the rule of the Empire. Your leaders will surrender immediately. Your resources, technology, and territory now belong to us. Any resistance will be removed. The message lasted less than a minute before the signal cut off. On Earth, the reaction was not what Vork expected. In the capital, top government officials sat around a secure table. Military commanders and scientists, including Mia, were present. They had all seen the message. One general leaned forward. Well, that was direct. Another official spoke. With a calm voice. What do we tell them? The leader of the meeting looked around the table. We tell them the truth. We advise them to leave. Mia was surprised. That's all? Just tell them to leave. The leader smiled slightly. Sometimes the simplest message is the strongest. Back in orbit, Vork received the human's reply. It was a short transmission, only a few words long. We advise you to leave. Vork read the words twice, then let out a short laugh. They advise us to leave, as if they have any choice in the matter. Terran looked uneasy. Admiral. Their tone is unusual. No fear. No panic. Vork waved it off. They are proud. They want to appear strong before their people. This is common. Among weaker worlds, we will demonstrate our power and they will surrender. Minutes later, the first demonstration began. Vork ordered 3 heavy cruisers to descend toward Earth's oceans. The ships entered the atmosphere with streaks of fire, their black hulls reflecting the sunlight. People in coastal cities looked up in shock as the giant ships passed overhead. The cruisers fired controlled blasts into the ocean, far from land but powerful enough to send enormous waves crashing across the sea. The water boiled where the blasts hit, and clouds of steam rose into the sky. On the bridges of those ships, Zorthan officers watched their displays. The demonstration was meant to be frightening but not destructive to cities. They expected chaos among the humans, but the chaos never came. From high orbit, Vork received reports. Admiral, we are detecting no mass evacuations, no surrender broadcasts. Civilian communications remain active and calm. Vork frowned slightly. Strange. Increase skin range. Watch for any signs of counterattack. At that same moment, Mia was inside a secure underground control center. Massive screens showed live feeds from satellites, radar, and deep space sensors. A team of experts worked at rows of consoles, exchanging quick updates. She pointed to one of the displays. Their energy signatures are extremely high, but something is happening to them. Look here. The technician beside her zoomed in on the readings. Their power output is dropping, but only after they fire their weapons. It's as if something is draining them. Mia knew what it meant. We're already affecting their systems. The defense grid is activating. The human secret was something the Zorthans had not even imagined. Decades ago, Earth had built a hidden planetary defense network called Aegis Shield. Its satellites were disguised as harmless observation devices. But inside each one was advanced technology designed to detect and disable foreign weapon systems. No one outside a small circle of leaders and scientists even knew it existed until now. Above Earth, several faint flashes appeared in the distance. They were not weapons fired at the Zorthans. Instead, they were signals linking the Aegis Shield satellites into a single network. Zorthan ships began to report strange failures. Energy cores flickered. Targeting systems reset without command. Shields lost stability. On the bridge of the Iron Talon, Vork listened to the incoming reports. His jaw tightened. Admiral, Terran said, something is interfering with our systems. It's not natural space interference. It's coming from the planet. Vork's voice was firm. Find it and disable it. This is nothing more than a minor obstacle. But deep down, for the first time, he felt something he had not felt in years: uncertainty. The Zorthan Armada held its position in Earth's orbit like a ring of steel. From the surface, the alien ships looked like dark shadows moving against the stars. Most people had never seen anything like it. Some stood outside in silence, watching the skies, while others stayed inside and waited for news. In the underground control center, Mia sat at her station, watching the readings on her screen. The Aegis Shield network was fully active now. Lines of green lights marked each satellite's link in the system. She could see that the alien ships were beginning to suffer from unexpected technical faults. On the bridge of the Iron Talon, Admiral Vork was receiving the same kind of news, only from the other side. Admiral, Terran reported, we have multiple ships losing shield stability. Some weapons are refusing to fire. Our targeting systems are resetting without command. Vork narrowed his eyes. Is it sabotage? Terran shook his head. No. The interference is coming from an external source. It's affecting every ship, not just one. Vork turned toward the holographic display of Earth. So, the humans have some kind of hidden defense system. Very well. If they wish to hide their strength, let us see how strong they truly are. He issued a new order. Send down an envoy ship. I want direct contact with these humans. We will offer them one last chance to surrender before we remove this interference. Small Zorthan diplomatic craft detached from the Iron Talon. It was shaped like a black spear and glided smoothly toward Earth's surface. Its descent was tracked by human radar the entire way in the capital city. Officials received word of the approaching vessel. The leaders gave their approval for a control meeting. Mia, as the one who had detected the incoming fleet before anyone else, was invited to be part of the team that would meet the aliens. The Zorthan envoy landed on a secure airfield. Its hull was smooth and cold, reflecting the bright floodlights of the landing zone. A ramp lowered slowly, and 3 tall figures stepped out. Their armor was silver gray, marked with the emblem of the Empire, a sharp, curved symbol like a claw. Mia stood beside the lead human general as the aliens approached. The Zorthans moved with precision, their steps steady and quiet. The leader of the group, a commander named Reelan, stopped a few meters away. I speak for Grand Admiral Vork. Reelan said in a deep voice, you will disable your interference systems and surrender this planet to the Zorthan Empire. Do this, and your people will be spared unnecessary difficulty. The human general did not move. We are not interfering with you, he replied calmly. We are defending our home. The Admiral's demands are unacceptable. Your fleet should leave. Reelan tilted his head slightly, as if surprised by the calm tone. You believe you can resist us? Mia stepped forward. We do not want to fight, but if you attack, you will lose. Reelan's eyes narrowed. You speak as if you have already seen the outcome? Mia did not blink. We have. The alien envoy left without further words, returning to their craft and lifting back into orbit. On the Iron Talon, Reelan gave his report to Vork. Admiral, they are confident. They speak as if our defeat is certain. Vork's expression hardened. Confidence means nothing if it is not backed by power. Prepare for a limited strike. I want to see what they can do when under real pressure. Moments later, several Zorthan warships broke formation and descended into the upper atmosphere. They targeted isolated military facilities, preparing to destroy them from the air. But as soon as their weapons powered up, the Aegis shield responded, invisible. Pulses of energy struck the Zorthan ships. Targeting systems went dark. Weapon bays refused to open. Engines stalled in mid-flight from her station in the control center. Mia watched the alien vessel slow, turn awkwardly, and pull back. She spoke into her headset. They're withdrawing. The grid is holding. In orbit, Vork stared at the battle reports. His fleet had the power to crush entire armies, yet their weapons were useless here. His pride would not allow him to retreat, but something deep in his mind whispered a warning. Terran stepped closer. Admiral, with respect. These humans are not like the others we've conquered. Their technology is hidden. Their defense systems are advanced. If they can disable our weapons, they can disable us entirely. Vork did not respond right away. He looked again at the planet below, beautiful, blue, and unyielding. Then we will force them to reveal the full extent of their defense, and once we understand it, we will destroy it. The next step came quickly. Vork ordered a focused attack on one of Earth's largest coastal military ports. As the Zorthan strike group moved in, the humans activated another part of the Aegis shield. From orbit, it looked harmless, just a faint flicker in the dark. But to the Zorthan ships, it was devastating. Their engines shut down instantly. Their shields collapsed, and their communications filled with static. The ships drifted helplessly for several minutes before emergency systems restarted. On the Iron Talon, Vork gripped the edge of his command console. This is not possible. No single world has ever. Terran interrupted. Admiral, incoming transmission from the planet. Vork straightened, put it through. The image of a human appeared on the main display. It was the same woman who had spoken earlier, Mia. Her voice was calm but carried a sharp edge. Admiral Vork, you have tested our defenses. You have seen their effect. We are not your enemy. Unless you choose to make us one. Leave now, and your ships will be allowed to depart unharmed. Vork's jaw tightened. And if I refuse? Mia's answer was simple. Then your fleet will not survive the hour. The transmission ended. Silence hung over the bridge. No one spoke, but every officer felt the weight of the choice before them. Vork was known for his unshakable confidence, but now he faced a truth he had never faced before, an enemy whose strength was hidden until the moment it was needed, and whose will to protect their home was stronger than fear. The humans had not fired a single shot at their cities. They had not tried to destroy the Zorthan fleet outright, yet they had already shown that they could. Vork turned toward the planet once more. The next move would decide everything. The Iron Talon floated in orbit like a predator waiting to strike. Grand Admiral Vork stood with his hands behind his back, staring at the blue curve of Earth below. His officers moved quietly around him, watching their screens, exchanging updates in low voices. The atmosphere on the bridge was tense, as if the air itself was heavier. Vork had faced dangerous enemies before. He had fought fleets that outnumbered him, faced traps set by cunning foes, and broken through fortified systems. But this was different. The humans had not attacked openly. They had not launched fleets of their own. Instead, they had disabled his weapons without firing a shot. They had made his ships stumble without touching them. It was as if the very space around Earth worked against him. He was not ready to leave. Not yet, Admiral. Terran said quietly, the fleet awaits your orders. Vork's voice was firm. If the humans think they can frighten us with tricks, we will show them the true power of the Zorthan Empire. Ready the entire Armada. We will strike at once. No more warnings. On Earth, deep beneath the capital city, the control center was alive with movement. Technicians monitored every orbiting object, every signal, every change in the alien fleets. Formation. Mia sat at her console, her eyes locked on the growing cluster of red icons on the main display. She could see the Zorthan ships moving into attack positions, spreading out to encircle the planet. They're preparing for a full strike, said the general standing beside her. Mia nodded. Then we activate Phase 2 of the defense grid. The general hesitated. Are you sure? Once we activate it, they'll know exactly what we can do. They already know enough to be dangerous, Mia replied. If we don't act now, they'll destroy everything. The general gave a sharp nod and turned to the operations officer. Begin Phase 2. Far above the Earth, in the quiet void, the Aegis shield stirred. The defense network had been built decades earlier, in secrecy and with precision. It was more than just a set of satellites. It was a web of energy projectors, targeting systems, and experimental weapon platforms hidden among what looked like harmless weather and communication equipment. From a distance, nothing changed. But to the Zorthan fleet, the difference was immediate. On the Iron Talon, alarms sounded across the bridge. Admiral, our forward ships are losing all shield power. An officer reported. Weapon systems are shutting down again. Engines are fluctuating. Vork's voice was sharp. Stabilize them. Override the interference. Terran looked at his display. It's not just interference this time. Something is locking onto our ships. Hundreds of precise targeting signals. On Earth. Mia's hands moved quickly across her console. She wasn't alone. Teams of engineers, scientists, and military specialists all worked together, feeding instructions to the defense satellites. The targeting system used data from every sensor in the network, optical, thermal, and electromagnetic, to lock onto the weak points of the alien ships. The network wasn't designed to waste power. Each shot would strike exactly where it needed to. Targets confirmed, Mia said, her voice steady. Ready to fire on your mark, the general gave the order. Mark. In the black silence of space, beams of concentrated energy erupted from dozens of invisible points. They crossed the distance between Earth and the Zorthan fleet in fractions of a second. The first warship vanished in a burst of light. Its hull melted instantly, its core overloaded, and the remains scattered into space. The second ship was hit directly through its main reactor. There was no explosion, just a flash, and then it was gone. On the Iron Talon, the crew stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Red icons marking their ships were disappearing one after another, faster than they could report. Admiral, Terran's voice was tense. We're losing the fleet. This is not a battle. It's an execution. Vork's eyes narrowed. Return fire. All ships return fire now. But most of the fleet couldn't. The moment they tried to fire, their weapon systems were locked, shut down by the same mysterious force that had been interfering. Before, only a handful of ships managed to get shots off. And those shots were intercepted or scattered before reaching their targets. The beams from Earth kept coming fast, precise, relentless. Each one hit exactly where it would do the most damage. Within less than a minute, half the fleet was gone. Mia watched the screen as ship after ship vanished from the display. Her expression was calm, but her heart was pounding. They'll have to stop soon, one of the technicians said. If they don't retreat, there won't be anything left to retreat with. The general gave a slow nod. That's the idea. In orbit, the Iron Talon shook as its shields failed. Power readings dipped dangerously low. Vork's hands gripped the rail in front of him. He had never lost a battle like this, not even close. But he wasn't ready to accept defeat. Terran, he said in a low voice, order the fleet to break formation and retreat beyond the moon. We need distance to regroup. Terran hesitated. Admiral, if we retreat, the humans may finish us. Before we clear their range, Vork's voice was firm. They have already shown they can destroy us at will. The only way to survive is to get out of range. The order went out. What was left of the once proud Zorthan Armada turned and began to pull away from Earth, but the humans allowed them to go, at least for now. The Aegis shield stopped firing as soon as the ships began to leave orbit. In the control center, Mia watched the alien fleet shrink on the screens. They're leaving, a technician confirmed. The general looked at her. That was over faster than I expected. Mia allowed herself a small smile. They underestimated us. That's always a mistake. On the Iron Talon, Vork stood in silence as the Earth grew smaller behind them. His pride was wounded deeper than he cared to admit. The Zorthan Empire had never suffered such a defeat, and certainly not in under a minute. He knew he would have to face the Emperor and explain. But he also knew something else. Earth was not the easy target they had believed. In the quiet of his command bridge, Vork made a silent promise. We will return, he thought. But another part of him, one he didn't want to acknowledge, wondered if returning was a mistake. The Iron Talon floated silently in the cold void, far above the blue planet called Earth, the once proud Zorthan. Armada was broken. Many ships had vanished in moments, destroyed by a force they had never imagined. The remaining ships were scattered, damaged, and powerless. Grand Admiral Vork stood on the bridge of his flagship. His face was stern but tired. He stared at the holographic images of his lost fleet. Each red dot disappearing from the display was a reminder of defeat, a defeat no Zorthan had ever faced before. His first officer, Terran, approached quietly. Admiral, the crew is in shock. Many cannot believe what happened. We must send a report to the Emperor. Vork nodded slowly. Prepare the message. But we will not lie. We must tell the truth. Earth is not a world we can conquer by force. The room was silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Zorthan Empire had faced rebellion before, but no enemy had ever destroyed their ships so quickly. This was a moment that would change everything on Earth. Mia stood with her team in the command center. They watched the alien fleet retreat on their screens. The tension in the room began to ease as the ships disappeared into the distance. We did it, said one of the technicians softly. Mia smiled but did not celebrate. This was just the first battle. They will learn from their defeat, a general nodded. Still, it is a clear message. Earth will defend itself. Mia agreed, and we will be ready for whatever comes next. Back on the Iron Talon, Vork prepared to send the report. His voice was steady but full of respect. To the Emperor, our fleet has suffered a devastating defeat. The humans possess advanced defense systems beyond any we have faced. Their determination to protect their home is unmatched. We recommend no further attacks until more information is gathered. He paused. We must learn more about them. Terran added, Admiral, there are rumors among the crew Some say humans are a death world species, survivors of harsh environments with an iron will. Vork frowned. Rumors or not, we cannot ignore their strength. Our empire has always respected power. Now, we must understand it. In the quiet halls of the Zorthan capital, the Emperor received the report. His eyes narrowed as he read the words. His voice was cold but calm. So, this small planet resists us. It is unlike any we have known. He turned to his advisors. We must reconsider our approach. This is no simple conquest. Perhaps it is time to send envoys of peace or find allies who understand this world. The counselors exchanged uneasy looks. The galaxy had always feared the Zorthan Empire. Now, they whispered of Earth, the planet that destroyed a fleet in less than a minute. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Mia returned to her quiet lab. She looked up at the night sky. Now free of the alien ships, the stars seemed brighter, but her mind was busy. This is only the beginning, she said softly. They will come again. Her thoughts were filled with questions. How much more could Earth's defenses hold? Could humanity survive if the Empire sent its full power? She knew the world must prepare. In space, the remaining Zorthan ships slowly gathered. Repairs began immediately. Crews worked day and night to restore engines and weapons. The Armada was weakened, but it was not defeated. Vork walked among his officers. We must change our tactics. The humans are strong, but not invincible. One officer spoke up. Their technology is advanced, but so is ours. We must study their systems and find weaknesses. Vork agreed. Yes, we will watch and learn. Then we will decide if conquest is possible or if diplomacy must replace war. Back on Earth, the news of the fleet's retreat spread quickly. People celebrated quietly but remained cautious. The government increased defense spending. Scientists like Mia received more resources. Military training intensified, but the world also changed in other ways. People began to look up at the stars differently. The vast universe no longer seemed so distant. Earth was now part of a larger story, a story where humans would play an important role. In the following weeks, secret teams worked on analyzing data captured during the battle. They studied the alien ships, their weapons, and their weaknesses. Mia led a group trying to improve the Aegis shield. She knew that technology was just one part of the defense. We must also prepare our people, she said. We must stay united. Her words carried weight. The memory of the invasion had united governments, scientists, and citizens worldwide. A new sense of purpose had been born. On the Iron Talon, Vork looked out at the stars. Earth was far behind now, but its image was etched in his mind. We will return, he whispered. But next time, we will be ready. He understood that. The war for Earth was not over. It was only just beginning. The damaged Iron Talon drifted in quiet space near Earth's orbit. The shattered remnants of the Zorthan Armada hung behind it, like broken stars. Grand Admiral Vork stood alone on the bridge, watching the blue planet glow beneath them. His thoughts were heavy. For the first time in his long career, Vork faced defeat not with rage, but with a strange respect for his enemy. The humans had fought not just with weapons, but with willpower and intelligence. He wondered what this meant for the future of the Empire. Suddenly, a small human shuttle appeared on the sensors. Moving steadily toward the Iron Talon, Vork's guards tensed, expecting an attack. But the shuttle docked without resistance. The ramp lowered, and two humans stepped onto the bridge. One was a man in a military uniform. The other was Mia, the scientist who had tracked their rival and helped defend Earth. Vork nodded slowly. Welcome. I did not expect to see you here. Mia smiled gently. We come with a message. Not as enemies, but as cautious friends. The humans moved carefully through the bridge. Mia's voice was calm. Your fleet was defeated not because we wanted war, but because we must protect our home. Vork listened quietly, his face unreadable. Mia continued, the Emperor must know that Earth is not a prize to be taken by force. If you return, the cost will be great. We offer a chance for peace if you choose to accept it. The human general spoke next. You and your surviving crew will be allowed to return home. With a message for your leaders, Do not return to Earth with hostile intentions. Vork's eyes flickered with a mixture of relief and pride. He had expected punishment or imprisonment, but this offer was unexpected. You honor us with mercy. He said, I will carry your message. Mia nodded. We believe that understanding is better than war. There was a moment of silence between them. Then Vork said, I must admit, this is unlike anything I imagined. Humans have strength not just in weapons, but in heart and mind. Mia smiled softly. It is the strength that comes from protecting what you love. The humans left the Iron Talon and returned to their shuttle. As it lifted away, Vork turned back to his officers. We will prepare to depart, he said. But our journey has changed. We are no longer invaders. We are messengers of a new respect. His officers looked at him with a mix of surprise and relief. Tar asked quietly, Do you believe they will keep their word? Vork paused. I do not know, but I believe we have seen a new kind of power today, one that will shape the galaxy's future. Back on Earth, Mia returned to the control center. The team watched the Zorthan fleet slowly retreat. The tension in the room shifted to cautious hope. We have won this battle, Mia said, but the war for peace is just beginning. The general nodded. Earth will be ready. Mia looked up at the stars, and so will the galaxy. In the weeks that followed, the message carried by Vork changed the conversation across the Zorthan Empire. Leaders debated how to approach this mysterious planet that had defeated their armada. With such ease, some wanted revenge, others wanted to learn. The Emperor's voice grew quieter but more thoughtful. The galaxy began to take notice of Earth. Traders, explorers, and diplomats all watched closely, wondering what this small world could teach them. On the Iron Talon, repairs began. Crews worked tirelessly to restore the ship's power. Vork studied new reports from his scouts. Learning more about Earth's defenses, he understood that the future held many challenges. But he also felt something new, a hope for peace. Mia continued her work, preparing Earth for the future. She knew that peace was fragile, but it was worth fighting for. One night, she stood outside, looking at the stars. The world was changing. The humans had sent a clear message. Earth was strong, and it would defend itself. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the Zorthan Empire was listening. The galaxy was changing. News of Earth's victory over the Zorthan Armada spread like wildfire. Traders stopped in their routes to speak quietly about the strange world that had defeated an empire's fleet in less than a minute. Explorers added new entries to their maps, marking Earth as a place not to be underestimated. Back on Earth, life continued, but nothing was the same. People had seen the stars in a new light. The world's leaders had united as never before, preparing for challenges yet unknown. Mia stood in the control center, watching the night sky. The stars seemed brighter and closer. In the capital of the Zorthan Empire, Grand Admiral Vork stood before the Emperor. The hall was filled with whispers and curious glances. Vork's defeat had been a shock, but his message carried weight. My Emperor, Vork said, Earth is unlike any world we have met. Their defense is advanced, but it is their spirit that is strongest. They fight for their home with a will unmatched. The Emperor listened carefully. You suggest peace? Vork nodded. At least for now. We must learn from them, not destroy them. The Emperor's eyes were calm. We will watch and wait, but the galaxy knows Earth is a new power. Meanwhile, across the stars, other species sent their own envoys to Earth. They came to learn, to trade, and to build friendships. The humans welcomed them cautiously but with hope. Mia led a team working on new communication systems. They wanted Earth to speak clearly to the galaxy, not as a weak world, but as a proud, strong people. We will show them who we are, Mia said, not through war, but through strength and kindness. The Zorthan Empire began to change its view. Earth was no longer just a planet to conquer, but a partner to respect. Traders brought rare goods, scientists exchanged ideas. Stories of the battle became lessons for many. On Earth, military forces remained ready, but the world began to dream of exploration, of reaching out into the stars. One evening, Mia stood on a hill outside the city. She looked at the sky, feeling hope and determination. Earth is no longer alone, she whispered. We have earned our place among the stars. A soft wind blew, carrying the promise of a future full of possibilities. Far away, in a quiet room on the Iron Talon, Vork prepared his ship for departure. He paused, looking once more at Earth. We will meet again, he said softly. But next time, as equals. The ship lifted from orbit and disappeared into the depths of space, leaving behind a new legend, the story of the planet that did not fall. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Earth was not to be conquered. It was a world of courage, intelligence, and strength. The Zorthan Empire would remember that for generations to come. And for the people of Earth, the stars were no longer distant dreams. They were a new home, waiting to be explored.